Yep.
So I think this year it's been about 38 years since MacGyver first started, and it's
Give or take a decade, right?
Yeah, it came out in the same year that I was born, so I know.
That depresses me terribly, you know.
And yeah, it's still one of the ultimate cult classics, I think. You know, it's still being rerun all over the world, all over again, and it's available in streaming now. And the Blu-ray was just released a while back with a spectacular new HD transfer.
Really?
And, yeah.
I didn't know this.
You didn't know?
No.
It was completely remastered from the original film material, because it was originally the masters were only on videotape,
Yeah.
and CBS went back and did a whole new remaster on HD with the original film materials.
Wow. Well, I'd love to see.
You're not aware of the HD remaster?
No, they don't need to, and
Okay.
certainly aren't going to be bothered by the likes of me these days.
But yeah, it looks so great. It looks like, I mean, I know the show by heart, and if you watch it on Blu-ray in the spectacular new transfer, it's like you're watching it again for the first time. It's so great.
Really?
Yeah, there's so much more detail and so much more color. It's so colorful. It's so vivid. It just looks great.
I've seen a couple of episodes in the States, and it's like I forget what the channel is, but it's real grainy and real old, and it looks it.
Yeah.
It looks like the original tape. So I'm glad to hear they did that. That's nice.
So, how does it make you feel that the show is still so beloved? And when during the filming did you get a first impression of how big of a hit you might have at hand?
For MacGyver?
Yeah.
Well, it was early enough in my fledgling career that I couldn't have any expectations because I didn't know what the possibilities were. I was just scrambling to find jobs, basically. So when I got the audition, you know, I took it seriously. It was a character that I could see playing, but I didn't have any grand hopes for me to get the job. They assured me, Henry Winkler being my boss at the time, said that, in retrospect, he said that, oh, we knew it was you right away. We kind of knew it was you. You just had all the elements. And he confided that the reason that really capped it for them was they had asked me to read, during my audition or after it, they asked me to read with a young boy that was auditioning as well. And I said, I don't mind. They handed me the script and said, this is the scene. I said, well, I don't mind doing the scene at all, but I need to wear my glasses because I can't read it. And they all, as Henry tells it, they all looked at each other, all the producers and the casting people looked at each other simultaneously and just went, yeah, he's the guy. He doesn't care. He's about vanity or anything like that. He's up front, and apparently that was a quality they were looking for.
Yeah.
And innocence, I think, was what it was originally. Now I'm a crusty old jaded fart. So.
You just mentioned Henry Winkler. I read that the production was extremely difficult, especially during the first season, and I read an interview with Jerry Friedman, who was the director of the pilot episode, and he took off his name from the episode for the Alan Smithy credit because he wasn't happy with what they did with the final episode. And I think he clashed with Henry Winkler because he says that Henry Winkler came from comedy and he was from drama television, and that he didn't like that Henry Winkler meshed with the cast and told them what to do because he thought this was the director's job. And was there anything like this feelable? Could you feel that during the production as the cast, that there was so much drama going on?
No, I had no idea. I'm surprised to hear that about Henry. Henry's partner at the time for the show was John Rich.
Yeah.
John had I'd say a much harsher edge to him.
Okay.
Not as friendly as Henry. Still a wonderful man and talented, and a history of lots of television. But John was pretty gruff. Let's just leave it at that. Loved him, but so I'm surprised. And Henry always had the image, and still does, of being the happy-go-lucky guy, right? So I don't know. I was unaware of what was going on behind the scenes. I was just, I was the new kid on the block, trying to kind of behave and find things out about acting and all that business.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised to hear that.
Oh, okay. So
I'd be interested to know what kind of conversations they would have about.
I think Jerry Friedman said that they would have meetings at night to sort things out, and they would become heavy arguments, and they fighting all the time. And then in the end, he was shown the final cut they did, and because he shot a 2-hour movie, and they cut it down to 45 minutes, and they.
I totally understand Jerry's point then.
Yeah.
Because the common notion. Now I'm speaking as an old timer.
Yeah.
But at the time, I think directors were just supervisors to get the film in the can, and then you lost power after that. And producers would always make requests or demands of scenes to get shot, extra scenes or whatever. So if they'd cut down a 2-hour film, I can totally understand Jerry's point of view.
Yeah, sure. I think it's interesting to compare to today's shows how much the shows back in the day focused on the main character, because today in the shows you always have like a big supporting cast, and there are so many side stories involving the supporting cast. But with MacGyver and other shows that had a titular character, I think you were pretty much in almost every scene of every episode, and that's like a 16 hours workday every day. And can you tell us a bit about what a typical workday was like back then?
Well, I don't remember too many details. Mind you, I was young and
energetic
and healthy, some energy, and I was taking the future. Well, I was taking it with a grain, but I didn't know any better, that, and I had the energy to do it. Later on, in later years, of course, I started to feel it.
Yeah.
And I forget, I think it was the second season, I injured my back. It necessitated surgery. I had back surgery, fix a whole bunch of problems, and that kind of got my attention, since I was paralyzed on one side for about 3 days, and it scared me terribly. So I recognized slowly that there were some risks at being so blindly energetic and willing to do all your own stunts. In fact, it took me many years after that incident to let my stuntmen do most of the work.
Yeah.
But once you learn that, boy, you take advantage of it. But days were long. The people were just spectacular. I learned so much, enough to want to be a part of a production team with Stargate, and and here we are today.
Yeah. I think you talked about it being more difficult in the later seasons. I think also the writer in the later season especially would often incorporate subjects that we were personally interested in, like the Wild West episodes and the race car episode to keep you happy. Do you remember more instances like this?
Yeah, anything having to do, a lot to have to do with conservation, Guns, the issue of Guns. Did an episode called Black Rhino, which just focused on the potential extinction of black rhinos. So we became aware of our potential to make not so much social commentary, but to make bring attention to an issue. Like the Black Rhino is a classic example of very emotional, not a lot of gung-ho MacGyver, typical MacGyver action, but it dealt with an issue that it was important to his heart and my heart. So we really did kind of pay attention to some social issues that we all on the set and in production felt we were obviously in a position to say some things, so we incorporated it.
It's interesting that you mentioned Black Rhino, because I have a question about Black Rhino, because I think this is one of the episodes that shows how much you were involved with the character, because I read an interview with the writer of the episode, and I think originally he wanted to have MacGyver take the gun, the shotgun, and then the Ranger was supposed to take it out of his hands and give the final shot to the Rhino. But you said no, MacGyver cannot take guns, and so they had to rewrite the scene.
Yeah, I don't remember the specifics of it all, but it was that's in retrospect it's really a tough to do justice to the character who has had something happen in his past life that makes him averse to anything to do with guns. And I personally am not a big fan of guns at all. But I was trying to think as a producer and trying to look at the future of the character. Where are we going to go with this guy, and how deeply is he committed to his aversion? So, and again, I don't remember the details and who took what, but the compassion that a character like MacGyver had developed through his experiences with guns and through life would probably, there's the side of putting a poor animal out of its misery quickly, and the other side of just, I can't do it.
Yeah, sure. Can you tell us a bit about the final season of the show? Because there are lots of conflicting theories floating around. Some say the show was canceled. Some say it was a decision by production that it was just enough because you also moved back to LA so you could be closer to home. Was it a bit of both, or would ABC have continued if you had been interested in going on?
I honestly don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I was very tired at the time, and I think some decision was made with the studio and the network that maybe we had run our course. Maybe it was time to, if our stories were starting to get thin, then it was not going to do anybody any good.
Yeah, sure.
In fact, the only people it would do well for would be the afterlife. What we're seeing now, we'd have maybe another 2 seasons to look at. Day after day after day. But no, it feels like it was mutual. I can't make any definitive statement about it, but I felt no remorse about it. Everybody seemed to be pretty on board with whichever way it was going to go.
No. I think, how did the 2 TV movies happen? Because back, I think 20 years ago, I read somewhere that they desperately wanted you back because the finale was such a big success suddenly, and then you somehow you traded in doing the 2 MacGyver movies for being able to do the Legend TV show. Is that true, or is that just some some fan fiction from back in the day?
Yeah, maybe something going on behind the scenes. I don't know. But no, as far as I could tell, there's no connection.
Okay.
Of course, that's me possibly being naive, because now you got me thinking about what happened. Because Legend, I think I had negotiated a development deal with Paramount, and got a fancy office and all that stuff that I don't need. But maybe there was a connection there, but yeah, it's kind of unimportant at this point.
Yeah.
Except that I was grateful to be able to do Legend.
Yeah, sure.
As short-lived as it was.
Do you have any particularly fond memories of the show, like maybe certain anecdotes that happened during the filming, or the friendship with people like Dana Elkar and so
Dana
on?
was a phenomenal. He was a rock, just solid. He'd been around making movies and television forever.
Yeah.
So I trusted him. I mean, he helped just by a living example. So I adored him. And beyond that, Terry Hatcher became a very dear friend.
Yeah.
Over the years, still talk to her occasionally. And there were, other relationships like Michael DeBar's.
Yeah, of course.
Murdoch. I see him occasionally, and we get all giggly with each other. But other than that, no. Everybody seemed to kind of move on.
Yeah.
Michael Greenberg is our producer, and he's still a dear friend. Don't see him at all, but I consider him a dear friend.
Oh, that's nice.
But as far as memories of the time, I mean, first of all, you said it in the beginning. It was a distant time.
Yeah.
But I just remember, as long as I was doing my own stunts and could ride my own motorcycles, do my own skiing, and all that business, I was a happy boy.
A couple of years ago, I visited Vancouver and saw a couple of the locations, and was wondering how on earth were you able to shoot anything, because there's the weather is, you have like sun in the morning and then all day long rain and then heavy storms, and
yeah,
how was that possible?
Well, we had to shoot. There's no. I think it was a rare time that we would ever have to shut down.
Yeah.
But you'll see some episodes. I remember one episode we were shooting, and the shot began with me at a distance in a parking lot.
Yeah.
A large, huge, like a sports stadium parking lot. Just the lonely MacGyver in the distance, and it started to rain, and there's a lot. It's a waiting game making movies and televisions. So they were ready. I went out there, hit the mark. It's like quite a ways away, and long lens shot, and it started. It just opened up, but and then there was a delay. So I'm out there forever. And as I approach the camera, when it finally rolls, I'm just drenched, and there's no matching anything.
Yeah.
And so, though that's part of the problem in making any movie, but especially in a climatically active environment.
Yeah.
So.
But it was definitely interesting to see, and all the locations. But actually, when I was there, I saw a couple of locations, but I ended up not going to the rest because, for me, it took away a bit from the magic. When you go to New York, and usually when the film is set in New York, it's the real location. But if you go to Vancouver and you see, this was the German Democratic Republic, this was Bulgaria, and so on, and I started not wanting to see it anymore because it
That's interesting.
took away from the experience. But my brother and I, we walked over the big suspended bridge
Yep.
where you jump over or you're shoved over in the Silent Killer episode, and that was pretty interesting to see.
Yeah, it's gotten very recognizable now. I can turn on a variety of shows and see Vancouver very clearly.
Also Stargate, of course.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that already wraps up our short talk for today. Maybe for the final words, do you have any short message for the German MacGyver fans that are still loyal to the show?
Thanks for your loyalty. I mean, it's seriously a humbling event for me to see the outpouring of people who come to an event like this.
Yeah.
Just to get a glimpse of an old fart who used to be a young fart. It's very gratifying in a lot of different ways. But I've found, and I keep coming back to Germany. I think this is my third or fourth time.
Yeah.
In great part because it's beautiful here, and my experience with I've made some dear friends who I had dinner with last night. The family now has 2 babies, and I'm ecstatic for them. But so I've met some people that are very closer than normal.
Yeah.
And I like that about the people in general are so polite here, and that apparently is not the reputation that Germans carry globally.
Not always. Not always.
Which I think adds to their intrigue. I mean, the diversity of personality here. But to all of you, thank you for watching, and your loyalty is much appreciated.
Thank you for being with us.
Anytime.
And have a great rest of the show.
Yeah.
Enjoy your stay here. We hope you come back soon.
Whenever. Yeah. Usually I just need an invitation. I got to get my daughter over here. I want her to come.
Do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank
That
you, my
wraps it
friend.
up. Thank you.